A to Z Social Studies Class 8. Chapter 1. Natural Resources, and Their Uses.
Have you ever wondered when something in nature actually becomes a resource? Simply existing in nature doesn't make something a resource, it has to be valuable and usable. And for that to happen, 3 key conditions are required. First, technological accessibility. Humans need the knowledge and the tools to extract and use it. Like turning flowing water into electricity, or converting wind into power using windmills. Second, economic feasibility. The cost of obtaining and using it must be reasonable, otherwise, it becomes entirely impractical. And third, cultural acceptability. Society must consider its use appropriate. For example, cutting down trees in a sacred grove is simply not acceptable. We generally group these resources into 2 categories, the obvious ones, like water, air, and soil. And the less obvious ones, like coal, petroleum, precious stones, metal ores, and timber. Categories of natural resources, based on their use. Resources are categorized by use into 3 main groups. First, essential for life, air, water, and food, without which survival is impossible. Air provides oxygen, water sustains life and helps in irrigation, and food comes from plants and animals. Second, resources for materials, wood, marble, and gold. Raw materials that humans transform into physical objects like furniture, tables, or handicrafts. India's geographical diversity provides ample wood, coal, gold, and marble. And third, resources for energy, coal, water, wind, petroleum, sunlight, and natural gas. These are the cornerstone of modern living, powering homes, industries, transport systems like cars and trains, and driving all production processes across sectors. Renewable and non-renewable resources, based on their renewability. Resources are also classified by renewability into 2 types. First, renewable resources, rivers, forests, soil, wind, timber, plants, animals, and sunlight, which can replenish themselves over time. Second, non-renewable resources, fossil fuels like coal, natural gas, and petroleum, and metals or ores like iron, copper, gold, aluminum, and silver, which form over millions of years and cannot be quickly replaced. This classification helps us understand which resources can sustain continuous use if managed responsibly, and which require careful, limited consumption since their supply is finite and cannot keep pace with the rate of human extraction and consumption. Renewable resources, restoration and regeneration. Nature functions on a cyclical principle of restoration, returning to a healthy state after damage, and regeneration, creating new life and favorable conditions, ensuring nothing is wasted. India, with abundant sunshine, rivers, and wind, can harness solar, wind, and hydro energy year-round. Forests regrow timber, and soil replenishes itself biologically through the decomposition of organic waste. For a resource to remain renewable, its natural restoration cycle must stay undisturbed by human activity, and its usage rate must not exceed its regeneration capacity. Otherwise, overharvesting, like excessive timber cutting, leads to severe deforestation and resource depletion. Disruption of nature's cycles, by human activities. Scientists conclude that irresponsible human activities have significantly disturbed nature's cycle of restoration and regeneration. Fossil fuel-based industrialization releases harmful emissions. Extensive tree cutting for urban development causes severe deforestation, and industrial and domestic wastes pollute natural systems. The consequences include rapidly rising global temperatures from greenhouse gases. Himalayan glaciers melting faster than precipitation can replace them, causing water scarcity. Reduced water security for populations dependent on river valleys. Non-degradable industrial waste discharged into rivers disturbing natural cycles. And river water poisoning that damages biodiversity and disrupts the balance of entire ecosystems. Non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources form over extremely long geological periods, and cannot be replenished fast enough to match human consumption. Examples include fossil fuels, like coal, petroleum, and natural gas, and metal ores, like iron, copper, gold, and silver, found deep underground. India possesses substantial coal reserves that have powered industrial growth, but at current extraction rates, these are estimated to last only about 50 more years. As population and development accelerate electricity demand, pressure on these limited reserves intensifies, making careful and judicious use essential, until cleaner, sustainable, and renewable alternatives become widely accessible and economically viable for the country. Distribution of natural resources, and its implications. Natural resources are unevenly spread across the world, shaping human settlement patterns, population density, and economic development. Regions rich in resources attract industries and settlers, generating employment and urban growth with better infrastructure. This uneven distribution strongly influences trade relationships, international relations, diplomatic policies, and strategic partnerships between nations. Many historical conflicts and modern wars have been fought to control valuable natural resources. Overall, where resources exist and how accessible they are, largely determines a region's economic trajectory, its connections with other regions, and its vulnerability to disputes over shared or contested resources. Economic impacts. Regional economic development is largely shaped by the presence or absence of natural resources. Local populations gain employment in industries established in resource-rich regions, and townships and cities grow rapidly, offering modern facilities, better education, healthcare, and technology access. However, economic benefits come with significant costs, both short and long-term. Infrastructure development often displaces local populations from traditional homes and ancestral lands. Developmental activities also cause environmental degradation, severely impacting local ecosystems and biodiversity. This process tends to benefit resource owners far more than ordinary workers, widening social inequality between the two groups over time. Trade and development. The geographical location and availability of resources play a crucial role in shaping trade and development patterns within regions. Resource distribution determines both national and international trade relationships, as resources combine with human knowledge, skills, and traditional techniques to produce unique goods. Historically, in ancient India, the production of high-quality wood steel was linked to locally available iron ore and traditional metallurgical expertise, contributing to the growth of trade networks and empires. Even today, modern global supply chains and international commerce depend heavily on how resources are geographically distributed and accessed across countries. Transboundary issues. Since nature doesn't respect political boundaries, resources like rivers often span multiple states or countries, creating complex management challenges. Disagreements arise over sharing these resources. For instance, the dispute among Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Puducherry over Kaveri River water distribution, and shared river systems like the Brahmaputra crossing international borders. Such conflicts require careful negotiation, discussion, and cooperative governance to prevent tensions between involved parties. International cooperation, diplomatic engagement, and mutual understanding become essential tools for sustainably managing transboundary resources, ensuring no single state or nation unfairly exploits a shared resource at others' expense. The natural resource curse. The natural resource curse describes the paradox where resource-rich nations often experience slower economic growth than resource-poor ones, a phenomenon termed the paradox of plenty. This happens when economies become overly dependent on raw resource extraction without developing other industries, lack investment in converting raw materials into finished products, and suffer from poor governance, corruption, and inadequate skill development or diversification. India has countered this by strategically diversifying its economy, investing in manufacturing and services alongside resource extraction. Still, challenges remain, balancing extraction with sustainability, ensuring equitable resource distribution, and managing regional development disparities. Stewardship. Responsible and wise use of resources. Stewardship means caring for natural resources responsibly for present and future generations through judicious use. It involves letting renewable resources restore naturally, while conserving non-renewable ones until sustainable alternatives emerge. Irresponsible resource use has accelerated pollution, biodiversity loss, and climate change in recent years. Even with strong management efforts, challenges remain, balancing extraction with sustainability, ensuring equitable distribution across society, and managing regional disparities. Real case studies of groundwater depletion, soil degradation, cement pollution, and Sikkim's organic farming shift illustrate both the consequences of exploitation and successful restoration paths for sustainable, long-term resource use. Case study: groundwater overexploitation in Punjab. Punjab, the hub of India's 1960s Green Revolution, shifted to high-yielding wheat and paddy varieties requiring more water, triggering massive groundwater extraction supported by free electricity. Excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides compounded the problem. Consequently, groundwater levels dropped below 30 meters in most areas, with nearly 80% of Punjab's geography now classified as overexploited. Dissolved chemicals in groundwater have created serious health hazards for residents. To address this crisis, the government promotes rainwater harvesting, water conservation techniques, rejuvenation of traditional ponds and tanks, reduced wasteful consumption, and treatment and reuse of wastewater for non-drinking purposes. Case study: soil degradation. Soil degradation has emerged as a serious threat to agricultural productivity and food security, caused mainly by excessive and improper use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides in modern farming. Traditional farming practices once treated soil as an integral, respected part of Mother Earth. There's an urgent need to relearn and apply these sustainable practices today, using cow dung, compost, and natural fertilizers instead of harmful chemicals. Mulching techniques and multi-cropping systems can help maintain soil health and fertility naturally. Soil management practices working in harmony with natural processes are essential to prevent further degradation and secure long-term productivity. Case study: the case of cement. Cement production ranks among the world's most polluting industries, releasing fine dust that severely damages human and animal lungs. This dust also settles on plant leaves, reducing photosynthesis and crop yields, while contaminating water and soil. Regulatory bodies like the Central Pollution Control Board have imposed strict guidelines to control this pollution. Solutions include reviving traditional building materials like mud and stone, alongside developing innovative plant-based and recycled plastic materials. Examples include Oroville's eco-friendly mud community buildings, and Jaisalmer Fort's mud structures, both refurbished using sandstone by blending traditional wisdom with modern technology to minimize impact. Case study: a caselet from Sikkim. Pema's family initially used expensive chemical fertilizers, leading to declining yields and heavy debt. Following a state government policy promoting organic farming, they switched to self-made compost, natural pest repellents from neem and garlic, and multi-crop cultivation throughout the year. Within 5 years, their soil became healthier and yields improved, allowing them to sell organic produce at premium prices. This success mirrors Sikkim's broader achievement. In 2016, it became the world's first 100% organic farming state, restoring biodiversity, boosting tourism, and raising farmer incomes by roughly 20%, becoming a global model for sustainable agriculture. Responsible and judicious use of resources. Careful planning and conservation are vital for managing non-renewable resources, so they last long enough for future generations to find sustainable alternatives. Greater reliance on renewable resources, paired with gradual transition planning, helps avoid economic disruption while protecting the environment. Significant social inequality exists in resource access. Marginalized communities often lack adequate water, electricity, and other essentials, bearing the brunt of fossil fuel overuse and environmental hazards. We must act as responsible stewards, not exploiters, of nature. The Bhagavad Gita's concept of Lokasangraha reflects this, transcending personal desire for the collective well-being of all.